Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining our meeting.
This is Sophia, and I'm Oliver.
And I'm from Brazil.
And I'm from Canada. So as you're joining, you could get started by answering this question in the chat. And then we'll have a couple more as people get started and as they start rolling in.
Oh, and first of all, if you could rename yourselves and write your names and then your countries, please, just like we did, Sophia, Brazil, and Oliver, Canada, please.
What would you say? What's your biggest climate concern in your country?
Well, in Brazil, we suffer from deforestation and wildfires in the Amazon rainforest and Pantanal, which are two huge biomes in Brazil. And we also suffer because of the lack of political action to fight for it. And you, what about Canada?
Biggest climate concern, I mean, for me, with the work that I've done, which we'll get more to later in the presentation, probably be the plastic in the ocean. I'm right by the ocean. In Canada. But for those that are just joining now, like we just said, if you can answer that question in the chat, and then we'll get to the next one as the others start rolling in.
قلت اقسم بالله في الاخر بس كده عشان خلاص ما انا شرحت ساعه ومفيش.
Also, a friendly reminder to, as you're joining, to keep your mics on mute and your videos. I mean, they could be on, but they can be off too that way because it will be recorded.
So Matilda said, severe drought and excessive floods.
That's a big one. And then we have air and water pollution from Jana from Egypt.
Drought.
From Palestine. And we might as well move over to the next question before we get started in about 2 minutes. And that question is, how is climate change affecting your daily life?
Send it in the chat, please. Here. Flooding from Maya from Kenya.
Oh, definitely. I'd say, like, today, one of the things we learned is that the daily life, even in Cairo, we're in Sharm el Sheikh, which is about an hour flight outside of Cairo, but there's a lot of air pollution. People aren't always able to go outside and exercise because of the harm that it causes. So
yeah, we also have it in Brazil, actually in São Paulo, which is the city where I live. Oh, we have more answers. Air pollution, which makes breathing harder for those who are asthmatic. Yeah, from our decarbonized delegates.
We'll go over to the last question there. And Rob Baker, who happens to be my dad, said across Canada, wildfires, drought, damage to crops, and that would lead to food security or food insecurity. And the last one.
What new climate change policies would you like to see from COP? Send it in the chat, please.
And if you don't know what COP is, well, you're about to find out because that's what we're doing here in Sharm el Sheikh.
Exactly.
We'll get started in 1 minute as people start rolling in. So welcome everyone. This is our live from COP27 event. I'm Oliver from Canada.
And I'm Sophia from Brazil. Welcome.
So we'll get started with Jana doing a land acknowledgement for us.
Hi everyone, my name is Jana. I'm from Egypt, or Ahlan. That's how we say hello in Arabic. I would like to acknowledge all of the indigenous lands and territories that our schools are the schools are joining from around the world. This event gives us the unique opportunity to gain perspectives from many diverse areas across the globe and to share the appreciation for the lands that we all call home.
Thank you. We'd like to welcome our schools in the next slide. Before we continue there is a little bit of a delay because we're using separate devices to share our screens. So we are moving to the next slide and might just get a couple seconds behind. We'd like to welcome all the schools from many continents around the world.
Yeah, we have schools from some countries like India, Canada, Portugal,
Netherlands too.
Argentina.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much.
Kenya.
We'll get started right away. And I guess our first person would be Adi. He can introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Adi. So Decarbonize is an international organization that empowers the youth from all around the world, from over 60 countries and 70 schools. So what we're doing is 4 months before COP, we meted and had a writing retreat where we all teamed up to find our problems in each of our countries. And for these problems, we tried to get solutions, a common solution that we can all agree on in this manifesto. So right now in COP, we're trying to talk to the real people, like the people that have power all around the country, which are the people that are gonna put policies, put laws. So that's our purpose in COP. And the purpose that we got that purpose from Decarbonize and the manifesto we did.
Yeah, but actually, what is COP? As Adi was saying, COP is where all the conference, it's like the COP, the conference of the parties, where all the environmental leaders all around the world just gather out in one place and have different debates of what they're going to take action of climate change, about concerning climate change. And they just divide into different zones. First is the blue zone, where all the decision makers are taking some in international debates and just making some decisions that will affect climate change and that will make it better to us. And there's also the other zone, that's the green zone. And here we make all of our relations, and it's just knowing people that are also environmental passionate. And yeah, that's basically it. We're right here at the green zone, and we have some people presenting at the blue zone our manifesto, which I'll talk about it later. Thank you.
Thank you, Adi and Anna, for introducing Decarbonize in COP27. So now we're passing it on to our guest speaker, Daphne Austin, who is the specialist for online learning and ocean literacy with OceanWise. She combines her expertise on the ocean from her Bachelor's of Science in a combined major of Oceanography and Biology at the University of British Columbia with years of conservation, education, and outreach. An expert in connecting students to the ocean, she has advanced environmental awareness for thousands of students across North America and beyond.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really glad to join you all today and to talk about some of these really important, conversations and topics around climate change and what we need to see for the future. I'd love to get some co-host privileges if possible, but while we get that sorted, I'd just like to say that I am personally joining from the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. And I'm really grateful that I'm able to join you all from their lands and that we can talk about some of the ways that we can better respect the land, water, and sky around us as they have since time immemorial, and how that can be used to really look at ways in the past to bring to the future in tackling climate change. Perfect. Do we need to introduce someone else?
Not yet. We're waiting on Open
We're waiting for him.
Okay, I will go right ahead then.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right. Well, as I said, I am joining from those traditional lands. I am in Vancouver, Canada today. So it's actually a little bit far away from you all, but I am actually with an organization named OceanWise. And OceanWise, we're a non-for-profit organization whose mission is to empower communities and individuals to take action to protect and restore our world's oceans. And I'm really excited that I'm going to connect with you all today because all of us have a voice, and we need to be able to use that voice to make sure that some of the larger fish in the sea, if you get my drift, are going to be upholding some of those goals and actions that we want to see the whole world taking. We at OceanWise, we recognize that there are challenges that the ocean is facing, and we do focus on three. So ocean pollution, overfishing, and climate change. And we have a bunch of initiatives to try and make that happen, such as looking into research of certain key animals, such as whales, looking into other pollution means such as plastics, a lot of sustainable seafood, and some of the ecosystems that are really affected by climate change, such as the Arctic, which is warming at, we believe, 3 times the rate of the rest of the planet. And a huge part of Canada is part of the Arctic, where we are based. And then also deforestation, which we'll touch on later today, which is a really cool way to actually try and tackle or mitigate some of the climate change impacts. But there's so much that the ocean can help us with. It's super important to all of our lives. So I'd love for you, if you have a moment in the chat, please share why you think the ocean is important to you, or why do you think it's important to fighting and mitigating climate change? Some of the ways that I'll mention here are things like even just with seafood. The ocean can be a great source for lower carbon protein. So there's been studies that have found that for per kilo of wild fish, it's about 1 to 5 kilograms of carbon produced per kilo of wild fish. That's pretty low. If you look at red meat, it's estimated to be between 50 to 75 kilos of carbon per kilogram of meat. So that's a big difference in the amount of carbon that's going to be created or produced from that. And we've seen a big increase over the years in the production or collection and capture of wild caught seafood, as well as also an increase in aquaculture or kind of farming of seafood items, either onshore, on land, or in the ocean itself. The big problem that we're seeing with that is that we haven't seen a decrease in, or at least a strong enough decrease in the number of overfished or unsustainably fished stocks in the ocean. For us to see a big impact towards climate change, we're going to need to try and bring that even more. And there are many advantages to more sustainable fishing practices, which can help climate change. I want you to imagine a small community. Maybe if there's more sustainable fishing in the areas around them, there's going to be an increase in the abundance of species closer to shore. That means that fisher people don't need to go as far from shore to catch those fish or that seafood. And that can lead to that increased catches closer to shore. And that allows for shorter trips and possibly more efficient or smaller vessels, which can then reduce fuel and carbon emissions. This is a huge industry, and there can be small tweaks that can make a big difference. Seafood is really important. The ocean holds a lot of biomass, and approximately 3 billion people rely on both wild caught and farmed seafood as their primary source of protein. So even if you live in an area where you're very privileged and have an option to eat a different source of protein, we don't always get that. We at OceanWise try and empower youth to take action, or everyone to take action individually, such as trying to look for the OceanWise recommended sustainable seafood label. And there are many labels like this on tons of different food items around the world. But we're going to need more than just one person taking an action. We're going to need a lot more than that to make a big difference. And we at OceanWise have lots of things that we'd love to see come out of COP27. Some of those being around topics of the urgent need for climate action on all levels of society, right? We have lots of individuals that are really excited and want to make a change, but we need to do it together. And particularly, we need businesses and governments who can chart the course to a more just and sustainable future. There's not a moment to lose. We also are looking at the critically important role that the ocean plays in fighting against climate change. The ocean has absorbed 90% of excess heat caused by climate change, and the regeneration of the ocean's ecosystems would provide significant mitigation and adaptation benefits. But we also really need youth. We need youth voices, just like all of you participating in these talks and even this program today. Youth expertise, great creativity, and energy must be harnessed to achieve the system change that is so urgently needed. And young people are literally wired for innovation, and we're going to need those champions moving forward. But one of the really crucial things that we'd love to see come out of COP27 is we'd love to see an emphasis on the importance of nature-based solutions to climate change. And one of the projects that we're working on with OceanWise is seaforestation. And it's a great opportunity for mitigating or kind of working on reducing carbon while supporting ecosystems. We support a lot of ecosystems, not only in the ocean, but around the planet. We can actually hold a lot of carbon in those ecosystems, even sequester it and kind of trap it in sediments and help really fight against or even help get to those climate targets that we're looking for the world to stand up to. If you aren't familiar with seaforestation, really it is growing seaweed in the ocean as if you were to have a farm on land. But it's great in that it can create habitat, it can help with ocean acidification mitigation, you can get excess nutrient removal, you can get a lot of a new food source for a lot of people. There's so many benefits to coastal communities as well as around the world. And one of the big benefits is that we can even sink some of the seaweed to help it get pulled down to the bottom of the ocean. And this kelp grows super, super fast, over a foot or 30 centimeters a day. So there's a lot that we can take from this. And there's so much that we can all work on together. And I'm really excited to hear what all of you have to say. I'm going to take a look in the chat here in just a moment to see what sorts of ideas you had from why the ocean is important. Like, the ocean is approximately 71% of our planet. Yes. It's a part of our ecosystem. It's vital that we protect it, and it plays an essential role in the food chain systems of the ocean. Yes, and incorporating into all of that food system. Yes, food source, weathered patterns. Yes, the ocean is so important. And I know that with these climate talks, we can get really focused on maybe some of the land or just climate-based aspects, but the ocean is a huge part of the planet, and it's something that we can try to use sustainably and in a smart way to help fight these challenges. So thank you so much for having me today, and I'm excited to hear more from all of you youth.
Thank you so much, Daphne. That was amazing presentation. I definitely connected that living on the East Coast of Canada around pretty much surrounded by the ocean. Might have been a little bit more interested in the fish part because we haven't had supper yet. So that was fantastic.
Thank you so much, Daphne. And now it is time for us to hear from our second guest speaker,
who is not here. So we will be moving on with Jana right away, and we'll add a Q&A at the end of our session.
Okay, so Jana, it's your turn.
Hi everyone, I'm Jenna. Thank you guys for the introduction. So we just wanted to share our own personal climate stories on an individual perspective or on an individual level that could resonate more with you. So us being here with Decarbonize, we've had the chance to talk with the youth that also volunteered to be part of this organization and part of the COP27 event this year. And I've spoken with one of the volunteers, and he got to share his story with me. He lives in India, and there was a lot of rain, and he lives at the end of a slope. And what unfortunately happened was his house flooded hip high, and because of all the pollution that was in the community and in the environment, it was all accumulated into his house with all the water that was surrounding it, and it was a devastating state, and it was extremely upsetting. And so I think it's extremely vital and extremely important to consider the fact that we are all impacted by this, and that this is not a normalized state. This is not what the circumstances should be. It should definitely be so much it should be so much better. This should not be the reality of that we're living in. So I think it's really important to consider that we need to take the steps in the right direction to solve the problem that we face today. Because if we keep postponing that, it's only going to accumulate more and more and make fixing this or changing the reality that is today even more difficult. Salah?
Hey, you guys. Thank you for joining us today. I just want to start by talking about, first of all, my name is Tala. I'm Palestinian. I'm 21 years old and I'm part of the Decarbonize team. I just want to start talking about the drought of the Dead Sea in Palestine. And I want to show you to get to know where Palestine is with these maps. Can you please move? Switch the slides. Yeah. In my country, we only get to see the Dead Sea from above. And because of global warming and drought, it has already lost more than a third of its surface area. And by time, we're gonna lose our entire sea. As you can see in these photos, I can show you how the Dead Sea used to be before and how it is right now. Can you please switch? Yeah, and if you can see, these green areas shows where the water used to be and the ecosystem that was already right there before the drought. Can you please switch? This is really heartbreaking to feel like I'm losing the only way to have a sea view. Palestinian coastal towns are also facing the danger of being drowned in the future if we don't do anything right away. We as youth should feel responsible and do whatever we can do to save our towns and our planet. I really want to be a part of the solution, but I actually can't do enough. We have apartheid, separation wall, and illegal settlements that are taking place many of our lands and villages and are preventing us from being a part of the solution. So COP is actually giving me this chance to represent the Palestinian youth and to demand the decision makers and the United Nations to take responsibility and take a serious and strict stand to end the occupation and protect the Palestinian land, stop the illegal settlements, so we can grow plants and stop the carbon dioxide emissions in order to live the lives we want and be as free as the nature deserves to be. Let's all remember to decarbonize and decolonize. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tala. And I will hand it off to Addie, who's going to talk about the different solutions from these different countries.
So these are all solutions that, I mean, these are all problems that our youth found from all around the world. But it's not only about going to COP. It's not only about meeting new people. You can start from your own town, from your own city. You can start with the little things. Like there's an app I found. I actually do this in my hometown. I go and I pick up plastics from the ground, from everywhere, on the beach, anywhere you are. And I use this app to photograph the plastic, and then I can see the statistics of how many plastic bottles I collected each year, for example. So it's not only about meeting people at COP. It's not only about being a COP. You can start from your own hometown. You can start with the little things, everything. You can use recycled bins, trash bins. These are all problems. These are all solutions to all of these problems that we have in our world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tala and Jenna, for sharing with us a little bit about your environmental issues you face in your countries, and Addie for sharing the solutions. So now we're passing it on to Abraham. Tell us your story.
How did you get involved?
Hi, my name is Ibrahim Morsi and I'm 14 years old and I live in Egypt. Today I'm going to be talking about why I joined the Green Program, which got me to COP27. I joined the Green Program because I found out there's a shortage in recycling trash cans in Egypt, and garbage collectors have to work so hard to collect the trash. They have to separate the plastic from cans, from the paper, and from the food waste. So if we put more recycling trash cans, we will recycle more, and it will be easier for garbage collectors. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abraham. And now, what about you, Oliver? Tell us your story.
Thank you. So for those that might have missed in the beginning, my name is Oliver Baker. I'm a 17-year-old grade 12 student from the east coast of Canada. So I guess the way I got started was in grade 7 when my science teacher invited me to go to this conference. And in order to go to this conference down in New England, I had to come up with an idea. My idea was called 10 and 10, and that was to pick up 10 pieces of plastic in 10 minutes. I organized different beach cleanups. I got different students involved in my school, and eventually this led to different science fair projects I did. So I've researched science fair projects for the past 2 years, and I've gotten awards at national level for these projects. And last year I joined the Decarbonize Club, and pretty much through all these interconnected events, it has led me to my way. I'm now in Egypt. I keep saying pretty much every single day when I see something new, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in Africa right now. This is so cool. But my advice to you is to follow those events and go right to the end and see where that takes you.
All right, thank you so much, Oliver. I really like your 10 on 10 ideas. So now we're passing it on to Fatma.
Okay, hi, my name is Fatma and I'm from Egypt. And I wanted to first ask, what is the water situation in your country? How do you get your water? Do you use bottled water? You guys can say in the chat, like what you use, where you get your water from. So do you guys know that only around 12% of bottled water gets recycled every year? And also an estimated 1 billion plastic bottles are used every day from all around the world. So that leads to 8 million metric tons of plastic that ends up in the ocean, which is clearly just extremely harmful to the environment around us, even if it's not something you're really aware of doing. So that's just a small example of, you use plastic bottles and you're not really aware of it, but it does create a really big effect on the climate. And before buying or eating something, you have to think about where it's from, who is producing this product, and how it's made. Is it humane? Do they pay their workers enough? Is it labor? Is it child labor? And what is this product? What's it made of? What resources were required? Okay. And you need to really take this into account because you could be buying something that is just made inhumanely or with resources that are just harmful. And you should also try to find people that are from your country or suffer the same issues. And you should try to work together to find alternatives that are better than harmful material that you may be using now. And also you could try, if protests are allowed in your country, you could try to pressure the government to change production of bottled water, resources, products, whatever. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fatma. Those 3 tips that you guys can use right away whenever you're eating your food or you're buying a new product. Those are very important to keep in mind.
And now we're introducing you to Ana Maria, who's going to talk to you a little about what we do. What is our work here?
Well, as I mentioned you before, all of our demands and all of the things we do want to see in the world, we just express them in our manifesto that we wrote for the past months, and we just received the activities from Decarbonize. And here we just put the things we want to have from the government, the things we want to see from them, and that we want them to apply in the places where we'll live. And we also have demands for the people, for every person in the world to take the action. And we actually also manifest in our report how we are taking action and we are making the change we want to see all around the world. That's why we just want to know, what are your demands? What's the change you want to see in the world? Because this is the moment you can take your voice and it can be heard, so we can just incorporate it like here at the Green Zone where we are right now. So we want to hear you guys. This is your opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ana Maria. And now we're about to finish our meeting. So Salma, it is your turn.
Hello, everyone. I'm Selma. And to wrap the COP27 live today, climate change really is an important aspect of our livelihood. And we should all try our best to protect and keep our planet safe. Thank you all for joining this meeting and discussing this with us. We encourage you to take the steps and make our world a better place. And remember, decarbonize and decolonize. Thank you so much. Good night or good morning.
Awesome. Thank
Good
you so
afternoon.
much for joining. With a wonderful conclusion. We're now going to do a Q&A session. So if any of your questions, throw them in the chat. And also everyone that was behind the scenes working from this event, they also want to join in the video to say hi to their schools that are joining from all over the country. So we'll turn the table here and they're all going to wave and shout decarbonize. Ready.
Wait.
3.
No, wait. So guys, we're gonna do our decarbonize too before we end. So please open your mics. I'm gonna count to 3 and we all have to scream decarbonize together. So let's do it. First try. 1, 2, 3.
Decarbonize.
Thank you.
Decarbonize.
And now any questions that are in the chat here for the answers. Pretty much with that and what Fatma was saying with the bottled water. I mean, that's just something, a little small thing that you can keep in mind. So if you want to make a change, but maybe your government, like around where we are right now, they might not allow protesting. So maybe you could raise money for a well. You could try and create clean water for your community. There's always lots of small things, but we have some questions coming in. So do you want to answer one from Liam?
So could you tell us about some of the things that are happening at COP? Okay, so this is our second day at COP, and now we're at the green zone where we can go to different pavilions like the water pavilion to the UNESCO pavilion, and we can watch some presentations and some activists and the authorities talking about it. And now we also have some of our friends at the blue zone. Do you want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, sure. So we have 5 people. They're from all over the world representing different continents, and they're in their blue zone, the different delegates and the negotiators. They gave a presentation today to lots of people in the audience about decarbonize, and so their role pretty much is to be able to talk to those people about our project and to share their stories. Now we'll move on to Michelle, our impressions about what we're seeing at COP. First day, they were still setting up because they canceled the first 2 days of events. Now that we're here now, all the exhibits are open. Our artwork is shown up on the walls here. We're gonna turn it here.
Show it to you.
Some of the artwork is here. And so these are from all different students that are part of Decarbonize that they sent in, which is very neat to be able to show all our artwork at an international conference. Our pre-event, we were at something called COI, which is the Conference of Youth. Basically what this was is the youth is defined as 18 to 35 years of age, as defined by the UN. And so when we were there, we were participating in different events where we got pretty much a glimpse of the different negotiations and the different topics that would be spoken at COP. We made different connections. It was kind of like an intro to be able to start meeting people so that when we get to COP and there's a lot of people here, we're able to say, oh, hey, I know you. Maybe let's connect and we can share our decarbonize story.
We have one more question. Oh, looks amazing. Thank you. We have one more question from Danielle. How can students get involved with the decarbonize movement?
Well, for that one there, you can reach out to our emails. I can send that out afterwards. We got a call.
Sorry.
That's okay. There are different clubs you can get involved in your school. The one at my school is just led by one of the teachers. So if you go on the website, Taking It Global, and go to Decarbonize, you're able to reach out and start a club at your school.
And you can also send us your emails in the chat. And we're going to contact you. Our teachers are going to contact you and we can explain it more about the process of how to get involved with Decarbonize.
But pretty much, like Addie was saying earlier, it is a club, so you can meet at lunch, recess, after school, and it's an online platform where we're participating in different activities. So if you want to write your email, the chat will send it back to you. Then Rob Baker said, is Greta Thunberg going to speak? She unfortunately is not going to be attending. There's some news articles about why she's not, but that's a more serious topic for another day. Will we be attending? We'll be attending different events that are throughout the green zone and blue zone with the different people that are in those sections. The green zone events really start tomorrow. There's going to be a finance day, a youth day, and then an oceans day, and then we leave on Saturday. So we're only here for quite a few days, but we have meetings planned for tomorrow. Our big thing that we learned is how to pitch. So everyone here that's behind us, behind the scenes, they'll learn how to pitch themselves and to be able to connect with new people, which takes a lot of guts. Going out of your comfort zone and meeting with people
Exactly.
is very tough.
It is hard to do it first, but then you get used to it, right? So does anyone else have more questions? Oh, so that's it. Thank you so much for joining, guys, from all over the world, right? So we're decarbonized. Thank you so much.